Welcome back, chemistry students, to today's Masterclass Explainer. We're focusing on the invisible, but honestly incredibly intense energetic battles that dictate how molecules form, how they break, and how they behave in our physical world. Today, we're looking at thermodynamics and molecular architecture.
Okay, let's dive right into our syllabus. We're going to start with the basic mechanics of how electrons are shared, move into the mathematical calculations of bond character, explore exactly why crystals shatter, and then unpack the thermodynamic rules of solubility. Finally, we'll wrap up by dissecting coordinate bonding and deconstructing a complex molecule that actually holds multiple bond types at once.
Section 1. Fundamentals of chemical bonds.
So, to understand complex molecular structures, we really have to first establish the core difference in how atoms achieve stable configurations. And we've got a stark contrast here. An ionic bond is a complete transfer of electrons. A metal loses an electron to become a positively charged cation, and a nonmetal accepts it to become a negatively charged anion. They're then locked together by pure electrostatic force. A covalent bond, on the other hand, well, it's a compromise. It's the mutual sharing of electrons between two nonmetals to help each other achieve that stable octet. Complete transfer versus mutual sharing, that's the foundational difference we're working with.
Section 2. Calculating bond ionic character.
But, nature's rarely black and white, right? So we must mathematically measure the gray area between these distinct bond types. I really want you to internalize this famous observation by Linus Pauling. Based on his work with dipole moments, Pauling established that a bond can never be 100% ionic. While a bond between identical nonmetal atoms can be perfectly 100% covalent with zero electronegativity difference, an ionic bond always retains some microscopic degree of electron sharing. Complete transfer is basically an ideal, not a strict reality.
So the crucial point is that we use electronegativity, which is the pull an atom has on shared electrons, to measure that shifting character. Pauling established the 50% rule. If the difference in electronegativity between two atoms is exactly 2.1, that bond sits perfectly on the fence, possessing exactly 50% ionic character. Anything above 2.1 leans ionic, anything below leans covalent. However, keep in mind as chemistry students that the Pauling scale does have limitations. It's an empirical approximation, and real-world environmental factors, lattice energies or oxidation states, can subtly shift these predicted percentages.
But we don't just guess here, we calculate. This is the Haney-Smith expression. By taking the exact electronegativity difference between two bonded atoms, which we represent here by the Greek letter delta, you can plug it right into this formula. You multiply 0.16 by delta, add 0.035 times delta squared, and then multiply the whole shebang by 100. And boom, this gives you the precise percentage of ionic character in literally any polar covalent bond.
Section 3. Lattice structure and brittleness.
Let's move to the physical world and see how this builds into the properties we interact with every day. Why does a salt crystal shatter when you hit it, rather than bend like a metal? Well, when a sharp force is applied to an ionic crystal, its rigid layers shift. This microscopic shift brings ions of the exact same charge, cations next to cations, anions next to anions, into direct alignment. The result? Immediate massive electrostatic repulsion. The crystal doesn't just casually break. The identical charges violently push each other apart, causing the whole solid to shatter. That right there is the structural basis of brittleness.
Section 4. Thermodynamics of ionic solubility. So what happens to those heavily fortified brittle crystal structures when we drop a common salt, like sodium chloride, into a glass of water? We trigger a grand thermodynamic battle. On one side, we've got lattice energy, the immense power holding the solid crystal together, which increases with higher ionic charge and decreases as atomic radius grows. On the other side, we have hydration energy. This is the energy released when the highly polar water molecules attract and surround those separated ions. It's a microscopic tug of war.
And here is the ultimate thermodynamic rule for solubility. An ionic compound will only dissolve if the hydration energy strictly exceeds the lattice energy. Let's run a sample calculation for our sodium chloride. NaCl has a lattice energy of about 787 kilojoules per mole trying to keep it solid. But the hydration energy released when water surrounds those ions is roughly 790 kilojoules per mole. Because 790 is greater than 787, the energetic payoff wins, and the solid sodium chloride effortlessly dissolves into your water.
Now, when the hydration energy does win out, thanks to water's incredibly high dielectric constant, something truly fascinating happens to the physical state of the material. In its solid crystal state, salt is a terrible conductor of electricity
because its ions are totally fixed in place. But the moment it dissolves, the absolute moment that lattice energy is overcome, those ions become separated and fully mobile. This newly formed solution transforms instantly into a highly effective electrical conductor. It's a real game changer.
Section 5. Mechanics of coordinate bonding.
Now let's shift gears entirely away from standard sharing to a very special relationship known as the dative or coordinate covalent bond. Forming this requires some specific anatomical traits. We're looking at Lewis bases and Lewis acids. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the requirements. A Lewis base acts as the donor. It absolutely must have a fully complete octet and at least one lone pair of electrons that isn't doing anything. A Lewis acid is the acceptor. It must have an incomplete octet and an entirely vacant orbital ready to receive a pair of electrons.
When we map this against standard covalent bonds, a stark difference emerges. In a standard covalent bond, you've got mutual sharing. Each atom chips in one electron. But in a coordinate covalent bond, the electron pair is provided entirely by the donor. However, and this is the beautiful part, even though the relationship starts out completely one-sided, once that coordinate bond locks into place, it shares the exact same physical and chemical properties as a standard covalent bond. It becomes utterly indistinguishable.
Section 6. Deconstructing complex chemical molecules.
To wrap up our masterclass today, we're going to apply everything we've just covered to identify all three bond types residing within a single molecular architecture. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept. Let's step-by-step deconstruct ammonium chloride, or NH4Cl. First, the macroscopic structure is held together by an ionic bond, a pure electrostatic attraction between the positively charged ammonium cation and the negatively charged chloride anion. But actually, if we zoom into the ammonium cation itself, we find standard covalent bonds where nitrogen and hydrogen are mutually sharing electrons. Finally, tucked right within that same ammonium ion is a coordinate bond, formed exactly where nitrogen donated its lone pair to a hydrogen ion. That's three entirely distinct thermodynamic rules all living within one tiny speck of white powder. Which leaves us with this final thought. Chemistry isn't just happening in a lab. It is the fundamental mechanics of the world around us. If every dissolving grain of salt requires a massive victory of hydration over lattice energy, what invisible thermodynamic battles are raging right now in your own glass of water? Think about that next time you take a sip. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the architecture of everything.